How's it going, guys? Thanks again for visiting my channel. I hope everybody's doing well, and today I have another brand new release from GVM here. This is the GVM 7SM. As a matter of fact, that little thing is actually lighting the background right there. So this is what I'm going to review today here. This light is awesome, has a ton of features, but it is primarily designed for close proximity, such as an iPhone, little filming, or if you have a camera with the light about arm's reach right here. So the limitation of this light is actually the brightness. Everything else is a very cool light. You can also put this light behind objects, which is the primary way I'm going to be using this light here. So right now I have the light in the background there. So as far as brightness, the light is exactly 1 meter away, or about 3-ish feet from that projection screen right there. So right now I have to crank up my ISO a little bit, because this lens is rather dark. I'm shooting with the L series Canon lenses, the 24-105. So I'm shooting at f4, ISO 1250, and the shutter has to be around 60, and I'm shooting at 30 frames per second. And this is the result that you get. I have a 60-watt LED light here set to exactly 10%, and another one here with a grid. And again, the light is actually 1 meter from the background, and this is what you get in this particular scenario here. Now, we all love depth of field, and I'm pretty much guessing that you usually use fast lenses such as f2.8 at least, or sometimes f1.8 or f1.4. So if you are using this type of lenses here, you probably will be able to film with an actual camera, placing this light as a key light. I mean, I wouldn't really use this light as a key light, but you know, if you do want to use this as a key light, I think you'll be in good shape, because you can probably place the light about 2 meters away and still get a decent exposure here. But the primarily way that I'm going to be using this light is actually to hide the light behind subjects, behind a speaker, behind like a piano, or anything that gets the little glow around here. So this light can be actually very useful. So the only downside of this light is because this light is only 7 watts and the lithium ion is about 3000 milliamps or 3 amps. So most likely I'm going to be using this for accents, or maybe a little hair light if I'm using like a low power light. But primarily the use I'm going to use for this light here is for hiding things, as you can see over there, something like that. One thing that I'm really liking to see what GVM is doing with their lights is because they already released the panel, the GVM 50SM, and also this GVM 7SM. So the GVM 50SM is a 50-watt panel, but per side, instead of sharing the CCTs and the RGBs, so you get a panel that actually blasts 50 watts of RGB only, or 50 watts of CCT only, which is pretty cool. But the thing is, when you play the effects, some effects they're gonna fire through the RGB, the other effects they're gonna fire through the CCT lights. This light comes with a built-in lithium-ion battery rated at 3.7 volts and 3000 milliamps or 3 amps, and the watt hours on this battery is about 11.1 watt hours. I usually never do unboxing here, but the box this thing comes with is pretty nice to look at, so I'm gonna do a little unboxing here today. So everything comes in a nice sturdy box here, and inside you have the actual manual, the warranty stuff, and the light itself. It comes also with a shoe mount here, which is fully detachable. Also a silicone grid, a silicone diffuser, USB-C cable, which is about 2 feet long. Also a desktop stand, that is right here. And also some other ways to mount this light, similar to the desktop stand, and it comes with this little selfie sticky little pad here. To assemble this stand here, there's no lock of any kind, you simply slide this over here, but first you need to screw this right here. Then you want to mount this on a stand here with the GVM logo facing back. This other accessory here mounts the same way this one does, and you can actually mount on other surfaces. And on the back here features a little selfie sticky pad, and also an extra one here in case you need to mount it somewhere else. This light on the CCT side ranges from 2700 degrees Kelvin to 6500 degrees Kelvin, and it has a beam angle of 45 degrees, and on the RGB side it changes the beam angle to 120 degrees, and it has the full 360 RGB. The light brightness, according to the manufacturer, has a reading of 1200 lux at half a meter away, or 600 lux at 1 meter away. It has a CRI 97. This light comes with 124 LED lights, and again, this is another Bluetooth app, which is great because it looks like GVM finally decided to quit making the Wi-Fi lights, because what happens is when you use the Wi-Fi, it's like a firewall. There's no internet on your phone because you're stuck with the light's internet. So there's no email, no Facebook, no YouTube, nothing until you disconnect the light from your phone. I'm pretty sure you've seen this app before, but this Bluetooth app that GVM makes, you don't have to go to any settings. You don't even need to go to your phone's Bluetooth setting or anything. The thing just finds the light and connects. So I have an iPhone, so I just launched the app, and then when I go to the listing there, the light is already there, ready to connect. All you have to do is tap connect and you're done. So I'm gonna put the light here in front. I'm gonna drop down my ISO to the usual way here. And a quick disclaimer, GVM sent me this light for me to test it out, and I'm not paid to say anything here. This video is not sponsored by GVM. All my words and my opinions are my own, and my YouTube channel needs content, so again, thanks to GVM for sending me this light. Alright, let's take a closer look here. Switching the power on, you see the firmware version here, 1.0. Right now I'm on CCT mode at 6%, and most things that I need to do with this light is actually cranked up to 100%. Can't really do anything with 6% unless your hand is like this close right here. So right now I'm on CCT mode at 5000 degrees Kelvin. To change the color temperature, quickly press the mode button, takes you to the color temperature change, and very quickly you can actually range from 2700 degrees Kelvin all the way to 6500 degrees Kelvin. The accuracy of the light is good. It's just a software that's not really that accurate in my opinion. So 5600, I think eyeballing is actually 65 or 62, something like that. Now the 2700, it seems accurate, or 3200. Just the end here, this is a little bit off by 400 or maybe 800 degrees Kelvin. I'm just eyeballing because I don't have a color spectrometer here, but I can tell the 5600 is a little bit too warm for 5600. To change the intensity here, just dial this knob here. It goes from 0% in 1% increments all the way to 100%. It also goes very quickly from 100 all the way to 0. And the cool thing is, not only this is a dual-sided LED light, if you want to have like 4% right here and switch to the RGB, which you actually press long here, the mode button. Right now you are at the RGB. Let's go to 11% here, and then the next one is your effects. I'll go there in a second. And going back to the CCT mode, again is the 4%. Going back to the RGB is at 11%. So pressing long the mode button here switches to the CCT, RGB, and the effects. By quickly tapping the mode button, that's when you actually make changes within the actual thing here. So 11%, quickly press the mode button, you are doing the color adjustments here. And quickly press again, you are adjusting the saturation here. And press it once again, you go back to the actual intensity of the light. Now to access the effects page, press and hold the mode button, and then right now it's off. You just dial this knob here. Now you have the lightning here, and then the cop car, which appears on this side because it's the RGB side, and then the candlelight, then the TV, bed bulb, and party, disco, and paparazzi. Now let's launch the GVM app here, the GVM 2. And you can see immediately the Bluetooth is the BT LED, immediately appears, connect. And here you go, here's your brightness, saturation, and the hue. Here's your CCT, which you have to flip it over. And then from 2700 degrees Kelvin to 6500 degrees Kelvin, here's your brightness. You can turn it on, turn it off. Then going back to the HSI here, flip it over. Then whatever it is that you do here, let's say 135, brightness of 84, and saturation of 91. And then you hit this little diskette looking thing on the top right. Then you name, for example, RGB 1, hit save. And then you go back to the HSI or CCT, it doesn't matter. So right now you are right here, and then to retrieve that scene, you just press My Scenes here, hit play, it takes you back to the HSI, the same 135, 83% brightness and 91% saturation. On My Scenes you can also delete anything you want. On the Bluetooth here on the top right, you can actually disconnect this light in case you want to connect another Bluetooth light, which it is necessary to control another particular light here. So I'm gonna do the effects that pertain to the CCT only. So here's the lightning, and then the candle, and the bed bulb, and the TV, and paparazzi. Now let's flip it over. Then we have the cop car, the party, and then the disco is very similar except for the delay here. So when we actually do, for example, 5 seconds, it's gonna be doing this solid color here for 5 seconds, and then it changes like that. And here's the GVM 7SM placed exactly 1 meter away from the projection screen. So right now I have the grid attached, and now without the grid. And again with the grid, using the RGB side. And here is without the grid. So here's the 7SM placed exactly 1 meter away from this projection screen here. So if you want to use an aperture such as f2.8, right now I have the ISO set to 1600 at 30 frames per second, and the reading will be about f2.8 exactly, again at ISO 1600. So you have to be at least at 1600 ISO to use f2.8 at 1 meter away. Now right now I'm at 6500, let's see what happens. f2.5. And at 3200 degrees Kelvin, the aperture will be about the same. Now at 4400 degrees Kelvin, the aperture will be about 28.3. Now with the diffuser applied at 5600 degrees Kelvin, same thing, 1 meter away, the aperture will be about f1.4, unless of course you bring the light close to half a meter away, and taking a second reading here is going to be about 28.5. So technically, if you want to light yourself with this light, it has to be within an arm's reach or less. So here's what we're getting with this light here. I have the 7SM within an arm's reach. I can actually touch the light. And the light itself is set to a Kelvin temperature of 6500 degrees Kelvin, not 5600, and the camera is actually set to Kelvin manual at 5600 degrees Kelvin. And right now I'm using a f1.4, ISO 640, and the shutter 100th of a second, and this light has no grid, no diffuser, so it looks like this here. So this is what you get with this particular distance and settings that I showed you here. I almost forgot, the light is not 100%, the light is at 70%, so right here, these are the settings. And at 100% will look like this, same thing, ISO 640, shutter 100th of a second, aperture f1.4, and this light is set to 6500 degrees Kelvin, and the camera is set to 5600 degrees Kelvin, so you get this here. So right now nothing has changed, other than the light is at 100% with the diffuser on, nothing changed on the camera, nothing changed over here, same color temperature. So I think I have to bring this slightly closer here, I think that looks about right, this will be a little too much. It's hard to look at a 7-inch monitor there, but I think this is actually the right spot here. And of course you can actually have a more dramatic look like this, or flat lighting like this here. So after I tested and reviewed this light, here are my final thoughts about this light. Do I recommend the GVM 7SM? That actually depends, because the biggest bummer here is the actual lack of brightness, in which I'm actually disappointed. This light comes with everything, with the grid, the diffuser, it's made of metal, it's got the app that works 100%, never crashes. Plus another cool thing that has RGB on one side and the CCT on the other one, so it has CCT, RGB, the effects, everything cool. Again, the brightness. So if you want to use this light for shining something on the background there, or putting behind objects, I think it's a great choice. And if you want to use this light for key light, it has to be within an arm's reach, like I said, less than a meter away, in case you are camping, whatever, you know, which makes sense. That's the only light you're probably gonna bring there, and then that's fine. You can do a little Facebook live here, a little Zoom meeting or whatever. But for serious work, you know, buy yourself an actual real softbox with a real light, like everybody else does. This light would have been a great potential for filmmaking and all, unless you're doing something like this here. So what I recommend this light is for Zoom meetings, or if you place the light near your laptop, you know, something of that nature there. But for filmmaking, definitely not, because the light is not bright enough. And that's the end of my review here. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing to this channel. We do mostly lighting gear here. So if you have any questions or whatever, just drop them down in the comment section there. I'll respond to everything that I see there. And also, thank you again very much for your time watching my videos, and I'll see you next time.